No rest for the weary, Commander. Sorry to wake you, but General Carville has called an emergency debriefing scheduled to begin in, right now.
Good morning, Commander. I've got good news and bad news. Good news is it's great to be home again. The bad news is our U-2's picked up a fleet of Soviet ships entering the South Pacific. It appears that General Vladimir is headed for Pacific Command Center in Pearl Harbor, as if they could mount a successful attack against us. I want you to prepare a genuine aloha for that little bulldog Vladimir. Oh, and get yourself a cup of coffee, Commander. You look deader than the Texas armadillo.
Establishing battlefield control. Stand by. Commander, there is no airborne threat that can evade the sight or missiles of the Aegis cruiser. It is the premier anti-air weapon. Sir, our aircraft carriers are the pride of the Allied Navy. In a moment's notice, the carrier's planes can take out any target quickly and from a very safe distance. Battle control online.
Welcome back, Commander. It's pretty nice seeing that Adam Sessler had an acting career when he was younger.
Destination, Commander? Outstanding. Yes, sir?
This is our first big naval mission, which is nice, considering that the naval game in this, in Red Alert 2 is actually pretty decent.
Incoming transmission.
I never really had an issue with it, that's for sure.
Sir, this is not looking good. If we don't get relief soon, we're finished.
Building. Our ally is under attack.
There's also the fact that there's some allies in this
Unit
map,
promoted.
which personally I always enjoy seeing.
Our base is
Maybe
under
I'm
attack.
just
New
kind of
rally
boring
points
or something
established.
that way, but
Our ally
I don't
is
know.
under
Allies
attack.
in a RTS game always fun to me. Maybe it's because I have somebody to use as a shield or as a scapegoat for my own shortcomings. Anyways, there's a few things to keep in mind for this mission. The first being that, well, since it's a Navy mission, you will obviously have to build up your own. But the Allies have a balance of forces they need to worry about. Namely that you're generally going to be using 3 different vehicles, or ships. Thankfully, all 3 of them are unlocked for this mission. Namely, the destroyer, the Aegis cruiser, and the aircraft carrier. The aircraft carrier is pretty self-explanatory. It has 3 aircraft. They can attack any ground target, but they can't attack air units. The aircraft are kind of like the destroyer in that if the destroyer loses its aircraft, it will eventually rebuild it after a set amount of time. Although nothing in the game actually tells you this, and there's no indication as to how long it takes for an aircraft to rebuild. That being said, it is nice to have basically a completely replenishable unit, such as that. The Aegis cruiser, on the other hand, is kind of a more specialized vehicle, or ship. Whereas the destroyer is used mainly for other naval boats and underwater targets or threats, the Aegis cruiser will attack only aircraft. And it's not possible to have it shoot ground targets, or even other ships. It kind of sucks, not the best, but
Our base is
honestly,
under attack.
for
Construction
what it is,
complete.
you can do worse.
Good to go. Driver up.
It is helpful because there's at least one Soviet ship that we will see that relies almost entirely on missiles itself,
Reinforcements
which we saw in the
ready.
first video.
Unit promoted.
So the Aegis is basically the counter to that.
Sir! Yes, sir! Sir! Yes, sir!
Unit lost.
Move it out!
Considering that we're going to eventually want to destroy a Soviet base, and then you can be
Select
pretty
target.
well assured that there's going to be a
Structure
lot of
abandoned.
submarines and other
Unit
boats
lost.
around.
New
You really do
construction
need to strike
options.
a
Building.
nice
Construction
balance
complete.
between all 3 ships. Namely, you want your destroyers. You want more destroyers than anything else
On
because
hold.
one, they're kind of your throwaway
Our
unit,
base is under attack.
and they'll guard you against most threats that you'll come across. Aircraft carriers you want the least of, or at least kind of the same number of as Aegis cruisers. It'll depend, obviously, on what strategy you might find yourself against as well,
Unit
but
ready.
generally speaking,
Training.
that's what you'll want.
Building. Structure garrison. On hold.
And
Building
don't do like
captured.
me and completely
Building.
ignore your base, because, well, the Soviets are really active on
Unit
the
ready.
harder difficulties.
Unit promoted.
Allied ship reporting.
Unit lost.
I also forget if it's specifically a function of
Analyzing schematics.
the replaceable nature of the aircraft,
Unit lost.
but you'll typically see destroyer
Building
aircraft
captured.
upgrade really
New
quickly,
construction
and the
options.
same applies to aircraft carrier aircraft because they don't cost money to produce, and they don't use the same values as the aircraft carrier.
Construction complete.
So it's very possible to have multiple aircraft
Unit
in the
promoted.
aircraft carrier that are just very strong.
Unit promoted.
Captain on the bridge. Battle station. Allied ship reporting. Navigate as you go.
Building captured.
Securing
Low power.
forward.
Yeah, this was
Training.
particularly annoying, so keep an eye out for it. And obviously, don't destroy your own
Reinforcements
buildings
ready.
because that just
Select
doesn't really make
target.
much sense. If I had to give some sort of strategy to this,
Cannot deploy
one, don't do exactly
Building.
what I did because it was kind of poor.
Unit ready.
You're going to want more Patriot missiles, or at least IFVs, in more locations than I had.
Building captured.
You'll definitely want to have some units garrison the buildings next to the hospital, because the Soviets tend to
Unit
send
ready.
some
Construction
paratroopers there.
complete. Unit promoted.
If you can get the airbase in the top portion of the map, it's always useful because free units
Cannot
is
deploy
not something
here.
you should ever deny yourself.
Right here.
Building. Unit
And
ready.
try to have at least some
Unable to
defensive
comply.
structures
Building progress. Our
in
base is under
between
attack.
the naval shipyard and the opening.
I've got
At the
knowledge.
very least, you should have some sort of defenses next to your air base or Air Force Command.
Vehicle navigation system ready.
Construction
Standing by
complete.
to pull.
Now, there is one issue, at least at the moment for me, is that I only have one aircraft carrier because I
Unit
lost like
promoted.
one or two at the start, just by not paying attention. Again, something you should worry about.
Low power.
So,
Building.
you definitely want more than one. Not that they're bad or anything, but in this situation, the AI kind of has like a lot of money that it can
Allied ship
just
reporting.
Construction complete.
abuse in a way. And the aircraft carrier only having one is just really tough to make any sort of dent
Building.
in
Unit promoted.
HP values for buildings. That is, of course, if nothing else can hit it. And in
Reinforcements
this instance,
ready.
nothing else really can once you get further in.
Select target. Construction
Securing
complete.
position.
Cannot deploy here. Building.
It should be mentioned that one of the
Standard.
probably best things that they could have ever done, and I don't believe this is a patch feature or
Construction
anything,
complete.
but
Unit reporting.
the fact that Aegis cruisers can fire while moving
Unit promoted.
makes them very strong in terms of a defensive
promoted.
ship. Which is,
New
I guess, in a
construction
way strange
options.
because I never
Building.
would have imagined
Unable to
or
comply.
thought of
Building in
a
progress.
ship as being
Navigation system ready.
almost purely a defensive measure. But here we are. Now, of course, it's probably a really good idea to just have a bunch of ships, even like one or two that you can kind of get away with, just kind of positioned in certain areas that the AI likes to build their shipyards at, specifically just to prevent them from being able to do anything. Remember, if they can't actually place the building, the AI is always built, or at least the AI in Red Alert, it seems, is never really given instructions to build elsewhere. It builds where it's told to, in the map files, and then that's it. Anyways, at this point, I'm really just trying to drain the income of the AI, but it has, like, infinite money. And I'm trying to destroy the construction yard, but I only have one aircraft carrier, and its aircraft just don't do enough damage. Oh, and something that should be mentioned is that if you are going to capture the airbase at the top part of the map, bring in like 4 or 5 infantry so that you can have them garrison one of the buildings next door.
Unit ready.
Because the
Unit
Reds
lost.
will try to capture it
Unit
at some
ready.
point.
Allied ship reporting. Enemy spotted.
Unit
And
promoted.
obviously, once you capture the construction yard, it's basically game over, as we've seen time and time again in the Command & Conquer series.
Ready. Standing
That doesn't mean that they won't still put up a fight.
Unit
Allied
ready.
ship reporting.
It's just going to be a lot easier for us.
Unit promoted.
Destination. Pilot reporting. Watch my 6. Navigation systems ready. Speed to full. Aye.
Now, it does mean that we have to destroy that barracks as well,
Allied ship.
which is just a little annoying because, well, I don't have enough aircraft carriers to really reach. And there's still enough flak troopers and what have you to
Unit
prevent
ready.
me from really being able to do that.
Allied ship reporting. Navigation Allied ship reporting.
It should probably also be mentioned that destroyers don't have to stop to have their aircraft shoot at submarines either.
New heading. Navigation systems ready.
It really helps the naval game to be
Unit ready.
much more fluid and, I don't want to say dynamic, but preventing all your units from having to stop to shoot,
Stations.
at least on the Allied side,
Building.
I guess really emphasizes their mobility.
Captain on the bridge.
Building. On hold.
High speed and high
Our base is
Yeah,
under
and
attack.
never stop building
Unit
either
promoted.
Patriot missiles or, pillboxes and throw them everywhere, because
systems ready.
the AI just
Unit
absolutely loves to send paratroopers at you.
Attacking.
Construction complete.
Allied
Ore
ship
miner
reporting.
under attack.
Enemy spotted.
Unit promoted.
Outstanding. Good to go.
Building.
Yes, sir.
Our base is under attack.
Destination commander.
Unit ready. Unit promoted.
For new heading. Aye,
Realistically, this is another good mission
Unit promoted.
that gives you a good idea as to how to place, or what you should use for defensive structures,
Destination. Pilot reporting.
in the sense that
You have them
it's
on
pretty
radar.
clear that prison towers won't do too well against infantry, comparatively to
Construction
pillboxes.
complete. Unit promoted.
It's the same sort of hierarchy or difference in systems that we've seen with, say, Red Alert or even Tiberian Sun, where Vulcan towers are better against
Unit
infantry,
ready.
and your RPG towers are better against vehicles.
Navigation systems ready.
And the same will always sort of apply in Red Alert 2, whereas your pillbox is way better against lightly armored or unarmored ground targets. Patriot missiles are against anything against the air.
Unit
Prison
ready.
towers are against anything that's tougher.
Navigation systems ready. Captain on the bridge. Set for new heading. Vehicle ready.
It's kind of why, if you're going to have prison towers, you should only have them covering the water portions, because, well, if they happen to sneak in a couple
Unit
cruisers
ready.
or dreadnoughts or what have you, then the prison towers will take care of those. Anything else should be pillboxed, because, I mean, infantry are just annoying.
Unit lost. Building.
Ready to roll. On our way, sir. Captain on the bridge.
Unit ready.
I was a little worried that I'd have to actually
Construction complete.
drop units over here and kill everybody, but thankfully that's not the
Our
case.
base is under attack. Mission accomplished.